Welcome back to Bespoke Addict. I'm going to be doing a bit more work on these fabulous, these are Peel & Co. butterfly loafers, bespoke made between 1958 and 1966. Beautiful things, and they need a little bit more work than I thought, but that's okay, they're fabulous things. Let me just get my bit of a towel on myself. I do believe they've got the very first signs of red rot. I've given them a light clean with alcohol and it just looks a little bit flaky and a bit powdery and quite honestly a little bit red. Let me find a bit of tissue, there it is, and I don't know, let's have a look. Just if you just rub tissue on red rot, yeah, you just a little bit of colour on the, it's definitely the very early signs of red rot. It's not severe. It's barely noticeable at this stage, but yeah, it's definitely leaving a few traces behind. I didn't notice it until I'd cleaned them, but it's such an early stage. It could easily be missed, but red rot always gets worse. I wanted to just give these a quick lick over with alcohol, nourish them and polish them and enjoy the original patina. But because I've discovered the red rot, I've decided to go a little bit further, and I'm just polishing the surface, get any residue of polish off. I've done this one, look, this one looks horribly scratched. What I've done, I've just used 240 grit and 320 grit engineer's paper, and I've just worked out, it's very fine. Yeah, you can put it on your skin, do it on a soft bit of skin, look, doesn't really hurt, doesn't do anything. It only really cuts dry skin, flaky dead skin. It doesn't, any skin that's got any nourishment or moisture in it doesn't really cut that at all. So I'm just polishing this, let's put that one down because that one's been done. I'm just polishing the chips and the scratches and the minor flaking. This one's not so bad. This shoe had a bit more cracking, just minor surface cracking. And I've just managed to polish it away with the engineer's paper. And, the skin, I will treat the whole skin for red rot with Clucel G. I'll do that in a separate video. So I've done it a couple of times recently on camera, but no harm in doing it again. Which one's this? Yeah, it's the 240. I'll just try and get any flaky dead skin off. There we go, it's quite a bit around. Yeah, a few chips and scratches. It's a bit rough there, in fact it's very rough when I feel it. So, there we go, look at that. It feels incredibly smooth. It looks terrible. The looking terrible at this stage is absolutely nothing to worry about. There's a scratch there. It's probably been bashed on a stone step or something. But I was going to ignore all this and just polish over it, but being as I'm going to be treating for red rot, I've decided to go the extra mile. I'm not trying to remove the original patina, definitely not. I love the patina. I've already matched the colours in the creams with the creams, the original sort of patina colours, and I've photographed it extensively, so I'll be able to sort of put the original colours back, dark around here, pale on the tips, and sort of in somewhere in between in certain locations, and I'll blend them all together. There we go. But yeah, this just gives a much better finish. Gosh, that feels really soft. I'll have to finish it with a 320 paper just to make it extra smooth. Because what happens when you polish, it highlights everything. If there's a scratch or a chip, or if you use a paper that's too coarse, it leaves thousands of scratches like ice skates do on the sheet on the ice rink. Leaves thousands of little scratches. But a 320 finish will not. It leaves it very, very smooth. You can go too far and make it too smooth, then the skin looks a bit plasticky. So that's okay. You can sort of feel more than you can see. I can feel a rough mark there. It looks smooth enough, but when I feel it, it just needs a bit more. That's better. But I'll just go over and treat the whole shoe this way, and then I'll come back. It'll take about 20 minutes or so to go over the different grades, avoiding the stitching, just making the skins nice and smooth. There's no point in doing around the edges here, because that does have red rot, and if you sand red rot, it just cuts and cuts and cuts. It doesn't really stop, because the paper it is very much like when you file your feet, when you've got hard skin on your feet, you use a pumice stone or a foot file, it cuts quite aggressively on the dead, rough, dry skin. But as soon as it gets to the fresh soft skin, it stops cutting. You can rub away, it just doesn't really cut. And this is the same. So when I'm cutting around here, the dead rough stuff on the surface comes away very quickly, and then it stops cutting and it gets smoother and smoother. Where I know it's got red rot, and it's a little bit flaky, there's no point, because it will just cut and cut and cut, and it won't stop cutting. So I'm avoiding those areas. I'll treat with the Clusol G, and then I'll get the chance just to nip over them and take off any flakes. But the Clusol G sort of binds the flaky skin together. But I'll do a completely separate video. That shoe's already had about 20 minutes. That's ready for the Clusol G. And when the Clusol gel is completely dry, it will look just like this. It's completely invisible, apart from this powdery, flaky edge. And I'll do the insides as well, because they're touching, the two skins are touching, it could be contaminated. And it'll just be completely invisible and ready to have the creams applied, the nourishing, moisturising creams with the colour pigment. Right? These won't look fiddled with, they're still going to look antique, they're still going to have an antique patina. They won't look as if I've done this to them. It definitely won't be the case. If I make the mistake of being lazy and going fast with the paper and using paper that's too sharp, the whole thing, it'll be scratched. You just won't believe how hideous they will look, and the polish will highlight that. Every single scratch will show through. So feeling that feels nice enough and smooth enough to be able to buff and give a presentable finish. I'll also smooth the edges off. They're starting to get a bit rough. I need a sharper paper. I'll start with 120 grit and then finish with the 240 around the edges of the heels too. Just make it nice and smooth before I reapply the colour, and eventually the polish. But as is often the case, I'm ended up going quite a bit further with this pair than originally intended, but they're glorious and they certainly deserve it.